These tour boats are docked in Argentina, the starting point for what should have been the trip of a lifetime. On April 1st, 150 passengers boarded a luxury ship called the MV Hondius, setting sail for the remote reaches of the Atlantic. They were heading for exotic, untouched landscapes. The itinerary was a nature lover's dream, featuring world-renowned stops to see massive colonies of king penguins. But several weeks into the journey, the tone shifted. The luxury ship stopped moving and dropped anchor off the coast of West Africa, transformed into an isolated floating quarantine zone. For the passengers inside, the reality of the trip was now a medical lockdown. 150 people from 23 countries were confined to their rooms, watching the ocean from their windows. One passenger, an American vlogger named Jake Rosemarine, shared the fear of those on board. He reminded his followers that behind the news reports are real people with families and lives waiting for them at home. This contrast between a high-end vacation and a medical lockdown left everyone with the same question: what was making people sick? As the ship remained anchored, the news from on board grew increasingly serious. 3 passengers have died, and several more are fighting for their lives. It has been nearly a month since that first initial death, and the toll is only now becoming clear to the rest of the world. The response was immediate. Health officials arrived in full, bright yellow protective gear, boarding the vessel to test every passenger for a possible infection. The tests identified the culprit, a rare but very dangerous infection known as the hantavirus. But that diagnosis only added to the mystery. Hantavirus is typically a disease spread by wild rodents, like rats and mice. This creates a strange paradox. How does a virus that lives in wild rodents cause a deadly outbreak on a luxury cruise ship that is kept meticulously clean? To solve the mystery of the MV Hondius, we have to look past the scary headlines and understand the very specific, strange rules of the hantavirus itself. The first rule of this virus is that it lives naturally inside wild rodents. As we see with this small mouse, the virus doesn't actually make the animal sick. The problem for humans starts when rodent droppings or urine dry out. If those materials are disturbed, they can break into tiny particles that float into the air like invisible dust. If inhaled, the virus enters their system. At first, symptoms are deceptive. It feels like a flu, bringing fever, muscle aches, and stomach issues as the virus takes hold in the lungs and kidneys, but it can turn deadly very fast. The lungs can very quickly fill with fluid, making it nearly impossible for the person to breathe on their own. This dust rule explains how someone gets sick cleaning an old, abandoned cabin. But it doesn't explain how multiple people on a clean cruise ship got sick at once. To understand that, scientists had to find an exception to the rule. The answer was in the voyage's starting point, South America. These are the Andes Mountains, the home of a specific regional version of the virus. Because the cruise originated in this region, the passengers were exposed to a unique variant called the Andes strain. The Andes strain is different from almost every other hantavirus. It is the only version known to occasionally pass directly from one person to another if they have very close, prolonged contact. This makes treatment difficult, because there is no specific drug or vaccine to kill the virus. Instead, doctors have to provide what they call supportive care. As we see in this intensive care unit, supportive care means using medical machines to do the work of the body. Ventilators breathe for the patient, while advanced machines help add oxygen directly to the blood. This keeps the patient alive while their own immune system fights the virus. By identifying this specific strain and providing the right care, health authorities can stop a localized tragedy from becoming a larger threat. We are seeing that care in action right now. Medical teams are using specialized air ambulances to lift the most critically ill passengers off the ship so they can reach specialized hospitals. The remaining passengers are being carefully monitored and tested, staying in isolation to ensure the virus can't find anyone else to infect. Now that the sickest have been evacuated, the ship has been cleared to sail to the Canary Islands, where the healthy passengers can finally disembark. While the quarantine and hazmat suits look intense, they aren't signs of a disaster. They are proof that the global system for containing outbreaks is working exactly as it should. It's also important to remember that this isn't the next global pandemic. Hantavirus is difficult to catch, requiring either very specific rodent dust or intense, close contact with that one rare strain. Stay safe with simple steps. Avoid areas where rodents live. If entering a dusty, abandoned room, open windows to air it out first. Never sweep dry droppings. Spray them with bleach and water to keep dust down, and wear a mask. And as always, washing your hands frequently remains one of the best ways to protect yourself from any virus. The situation on the MV Hantavirus is a specific medical event. Understanding how the virus works lets us replace panic with simple safety habits and keep our focus on the people and families who need our compassion.